So, what is the difference between a cheap breakfast and an expensive breakfast? Is it the portions, the quality of the ingredients, or the taste? Well, today I'm going to find out, because I'm going to be eating at one of the cheapest breakfast spots out there and one of the most expensive. So let's start off with the cheapest. So the cheapest place I could find is called the Cuthbert Brodrick, located on Portland Cressent. It's part of the Wetherspoon chain, which is known for cheap and affordable food and drink. So with that, let's head in and get some breakfast. The inside of this place is pretty large. It's light and airy with a central bar area where you order your food and drink. It even has an upstairs section which I happily checked out. The upstairs is just as big as the downstairs, with I think even more seating, which is where I decided to sit in the end. The menu is, well, pretty dirty actually, with spots of, I'm guessing, food residue all over it, but there is a good selection of food at very affordable prices. So the one I'm going for is the traditional breakfast, plus a cup of tea which you have to make yourself at the tea station opposite the bar. I made a slight error by putting my cup in the wrong spot for the hot water, which meant I didn't get a full cup, so I had to sneakily press it again and fill up my cup properly. I then added a splash of milk and gave it a stir. To my surprise, when heading to my table, I found that my breakfast had already been delivered. It couldn't have been more than 2 to 3 minutes after I ordered it. The breakfast looked, well, decent, although I think I was more drawn to the actual plate first than the food on it. So with this breakfast you get some beans, and I'm guessing they're not Heinz from the price, but I'll have to check it out when I taste it. 1 sausage, which is a decent size, 2 hash browns, which I'm surprised by as I thought it would only be 1, a couple of slices of toast, and it looks like normal bread instead of the fancy sourdough stuff, 2 rashers of bacon, and a fried egg with what looks like a nice runny yolk. Right, let's get eating. I'm going to start off here with the sausage, which I mentioned before is a pretty decent size. Now this sausage looks like it's been cooked in the oven, going by the colour of it, but let's go in for a bite and see how it tastes. It's not bad. It had more flavour in it than I thought. It's definitely not the worst sausage I've had in the breakfast that I've eaten lately, so pretty decent. Let's move on next to the bacon, which you get 2 of here. I have to say it's pretty thin cut. It's almost like a piece of fried ham. It does have some nice grill marks on it though, so let's go in for a taste. Again, it's pretty good. You get a nice flame grill flavour when you bite into it. A bit like the flame grill taste that you get from Burger King burgers, so pretty tasty. Now let's do the yolk test on this egg. And the yolk is perfect, nice and runny to dip things in. So the beans. Now these look interesting. Let's go in for a taste. They were okay, but a bit on the bland side I'd say. Next up, one of my favourite things, the hash brown. They look nice and crunchy, maybe a little too crunchy, but you do get 2 and they're a good size as well. So what do these taste like? Well, again, pretty decent. I think they could have done with a little less crunch and a bit more potato filling, but passable. Now for the combo of everything in one bite. Sausage, hash brown, bacon, egg and beans. It was a decent breakfast and I finished it off with the cup of tea I made earlier. So that was the cheap place. Not as bad as I was expecting, pretty decent actually. I was quite surprised by the nice grilled taste of the bacon. So that meal cost £6.40 in total. Let's move on to the expensive place. So the most expensive place I could find was the restaurant in the Dakota Deluxe Hotel located on Russell Street. Dakota is a luxury boutique hotel in this impressive looking building with some rooms costing over £600 per night, so quite fancy. Let's head in and see what an expensive breakfast from this place is like. The restaurant is quite large and open with many tables throughout. The decor is modern, sleek and stylish, and I chose to sit in a comfy little booth in the corner so I could get a good view of the place. The tables are laid out nicely with all the plates and cutlery positioned in the right places, with salt and pepper and even sugar in the middle. So overall, a nice looking, modern, stylish restaurant. Very nice.
The menu is pretty simple with not as many options as I was expecting. You can have a buffet which is basically cold foods only, or hot food from the kitchen, and we know which one I'm going for, the hot food from the kitchen, and it's going to be the Yorkshire breakfast, of course. I also got a pot of tea that I noticed stayed hot for the whole meal, which is not always the case as I can be there for quite a while filming things, although I'm not sure if it was because I just got a cup at the cheaper place which went cold quicker. The breakfast came out looking pretty good with all the usual items on it, and even a black pudding which you don't always get at all places, and the usual sourdough toast that's common everywhere now. So with this breakfast you get a pretty big slice of black pudding, half a roasted tomato, some fried mushrooms cut in half, a nice looking hash brown, a slice of streaky bacon which I'm not totally convinced by the colour of, but it does look to have some nice fat running through it, a decent sized sausage, a tub of baked beans which must be Heinz, right? And a fried egg with what looks like a nice runny yolk. Let's go in for a taste of the sausage first, which is about the same size as the cheaper place, but I'm guessing it should taste better, so let's go in for a bite. And indeed, it was tastier. It had a snap to the outside and you could immediately tell it had a lot more meat content by the texture, and it had a nice meaty flavour too. Now if the sausage is anything to go by, the bacon should be really good too, and it does look meaty and fatty and is a big thick cut piece of bacon too. So let's go in for a taste of this. The bacon is really nice. It was salty, meaty, and you could taste the oily bacon flavour. It was very satisfying. The egg has to be perfect from a place like this, and it was. It was soft and light. In fact, the yolk had leaked out onto the plate already. The mushrooms look lightly fried, and I do like it when they're cut in bigger pieces, as it gives a bigger bite than when they're sliced. And these were great too. So on to the hash brown, one of my favourite things, and this one looked good. The outside looked a little different to the others that I've tried, so I really wanted to see what this one was like. And let me tell you, it was delicious. The outside had a lighter and crispier crust to the other places that I've tried, and the inside was soft and potatoey and creamy, a really nice hash brown. The beans, they were great. I think they had to be Heinz from the taste, texture and thickness of the sauce. Now for the black pudding. You can see the pieces of fat running through it, and you do get a big slice of it here, so let's cut off a little piece to try out. It was a good bit of black pudding. It was crumbly and soft and cakey. You couldn't necessarily taste the fat, but it was a nice black pudding. I liked it. The sourdough toast was, well, pretty crunchy, but not as hard as some of the places that I've eaten it at so far, so you could still eat it like a normal piece of toast. And I just had to get a bite with everything on it. I think this has got to be the best quality bite of breakfast that I've ever had, and it was definitely delicious and well worth it.
So that was the expensive breakfast. Pretty good, I thought. I particularly liked the sausage, bacon and definitely the hash brown. So the total cost of that meal was £18. So which breakfast did you prefer? Comment down below. I think for me it has to be the more expensive one for the quality and the taste of the ingredients. But bear in mind it does cost about 3 times as much as the cheaper place. So maybe it's for those days when you want to treat yourself. Okay, if you like breakfast, click on the thumbs up icon below and click on subscribe to come along for the next food journey.